What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Phillies sports history for February 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. It's going to be a little bit warm today, which is nice. Going to the high 40s, low 50s. Spring is around the corner. But before we get into today's episode, let's do a little housekeeping. The Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot has been sent out and is live. And just like last year, you have a chance to get your voice heard and win 2 VIP tickets to the induction ceremony in November. All you have to do is go to the link in the description, fill out your ballot, and if your ballot most closely matches the official induction class for 2025, you will win those 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. I've also included a PDF with the inductee bio or the candidates' bios for all the information you need, but you can win 2 VIP tickets to the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony this November at Live Casino. All you need to do is fill out your ballot, and if it most closely matches the official induction class, you will win those tickets. Feel free to reach out with any questions, but all the information you need is in the description. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. It's been more of a slow burn, but trying to keep the momentum rolling that we got during Eagle season. Lots of new followers, new listeners during the whole Super Bowl run. So let's keep that momentum going into the spring. And as I always like to do, I like to make sure I give you all the accurate information. Yesterday, when we were doing our Black History Legacy Maker Spotlight on Fred Carter, I mentioned that he was the Sixers' first black head coach, and I talked about the other black head coaches they had that he helped pave the way for. I did leave out John Lucas and Johnny Davis, who also coached during that dreadful time of the post-Barkley, pre-Iverson era. Completely forgot about that. And John Lucas, as you know, his son is responsible for knocking out Jameer Nelson and that magical St. Joe's team in 2004. So there's like a double Philly tie there. But I always like to keep it in there. And I forgot to mention John Lucas and Johnny Davis, who were also black Sixers coaches. All right, let's get into some Phils. And yesterday, I guess it was the day before Saturday, Weston Wilson strained his oblique. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks, which he was expected to make the team. So now all of a sudden, spring training got a little bit more interesting. There's going to be some competition for one of those final best bench spots. Likely will be Cody Clemens, who is out of options, but Buddy Kennedy certainly is going to have a shot. Cal Stevenson will still have a shot. Maybe one of the young guys can play their way into a spot on the bench. We'll see what happens, but I think it's opening up the door for Edmundo Sosa to get some more time in left field as well. But with Weston Wilson starting on the IL now and being out 6 weeks, it's going to be some fun competition in spring training for that final bench spot. Something to really keep our eye on. I did get a chance to watch some of the game yesterday. It was good to see Justin Crawford. I didn't realize how tall he was. But late in the game, he got on base, and then was driven in on a moonshot by Gabriel Ricones, who has some injury problems in his history, but has the potential to be a stud, man. Like, that was just an absolute moonshot. I think the future is going to be okay for the Phillies. Yes, they have some guys playing in front of them with some big contracts, but these guys are hungry. And throughout the broadcast, they were talking about how the Phillies have a timeline for these guys, but these guys just keep busting through and really working their way up. Crawford, Ricones, Aiden Miller, those guys really are getting some playing time here in spring and really impressing a lot. So we'll see what happens. I fully expect to see some of those guys coming up at various points throughout the year, maybe to get a couple major league at bats and get some experience. But like I said, it was good to see Justin Crawford and Gabriel Ricones play well. And if you didn't check it out, like, Ricones' home run was an absolute blast. Schwarber, Castellanos, and Brandon Marsh did play yesterday. Was kind of shocked to see Schwarber hitting leadoff. I know that Trey Turner didn't play, but you would have thought they would have given Schwarber some at-bats at the cleanup spot. I think the rationale was they wanted to make sure he was only playing a certain amount of time, wanted to make sure they got the most at-bats out of him. But it's a whole different mindset from hitting leadoff to hitting cleanup. So, yes, he's a veteran. Yes, I think he's hit cleanup before, but still would like to see if that's the way they're going to go. I want to see him get as many at-bats in the cleanup spot as possible. Tyler Phillips did not look good, but Christopher Sanchez is on the mound today, weather permitting in Florida, as they take on the Pirates. And Paul Skeens going for the Pirates today. I think Trey Turner is going to play. A lot more of the regulars are going to play today if they get the game in. But that is our spring training report from Clearwater. I'll be going down in 2 weeks. Late next week, we're going down Friday through Tuesday. So we'll be broadcasting from spring training. I'll get more once I figure out the schedule and how things are going to work out. I'll get more into that. But looking forward to a trip down to Clearwater. All right, some Eagles news. And this is amazing. And Jalix Hunt, I don't know where he was interviewed or who he was even talking to, said that the Eagles had their team meeting to prepare for the parade. But at the end of the meeting, Vic Fangio kept the defense behind and basically reamed them out for their performance in the second half of the Super Bowl. Said 22 points was unacceptable and really gave it to him. And I love this. This is why this team is different. And this is why I don't think this is a one and done with this team. Because Vic Fangio came in and implemented his defense and talked about how he can't even get the whole defense in because it takes some time. And I think year 2 is going to be even better. Yes, there's some questions about who's going to be back and things like that. But the fact that after a team meeting, season's over, planning for the Super Bowl parade, he's yelling at the defense, making them watch film because of how unacceptable their play was in the second half. You got to love that. All right, let's recap yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who is most to blame for the Sixers' woes this year? And it was pretty much split 50-50 between the management and the players. Shout out to Eric in Leesport, who said it's got to be the management who built around a guy who can't stay healthy. And it's hard to argue that. And with the whole situation with Joel, late yesterday it came out that they're consulting alternative options for his knee. I think nobody's really talking about this aspect of it, but I feel like there's a disconnect between Joe and the team. Joe basically is saying he needs surgery. The team is looking at alternative options. And we know how that worked out for Andrew Bynum when he went over to Germany to get things into his knee and they didn't take. So I don't know if there's a disconnect. Joe's questionable for tonight. I would highly doubt he plays now with this story coming out. It's sort of given them an out to sit him and really shut him down for the season now. Maybe this was the plan the whole time. Tyrese Maxey's also questionable for tonight as they take on the Bulls, who is a team in front of them if you're rooting for a play-in spot. They're the next team up that the Sixers are chasing down. Personally, I'd rather go the opposite way. I did see as we're talking about draft positioning and things like that, I saw an article yesterday in the Inquirer from Keith Pompey, who basically all of this no first round pick or the first round pick being protected to the top 6 protected goes back to the trade that the Sixers made to send Al Horford to the Thunder, and it's Al Horford. He's the gift that just keeps on giving. So thank you, Al, for that. But it does lead to today's question of the day. With the news with Joe, I really do feel that this is the opening to shut him down for the season. But what is Joe's legacy? And I feel like this is complicated. And it's going to be hard to quantify this into like a multiple choice. But If you want to call me on the Back to the Future voice and text line and let me know what Joe's legacy is, 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest. But it's complicated. I mean, is it going to be the gamer who fought through injuries, was the MVP, the most dominant player in the game when he was healthy? Or is it going to be the guy that was injury prone and sometimes didn't show up in the playoffs when the team needed him the most? And I hesitate to even say that because I feel as though there were times he battled back from injuries early, even though he wasn't 100%. A lot of his injuries are freak injuries, like getting elbowed and fracturing your orbital bone multiple times in your career. I mean, the odds of that are pretty slim, I would imagine. But it's a very complicated legacy. I'm not saying he's completely done, but it certainly appears that we've seen the best of Joe. So what is his legacy? 267-495-8531. Let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, I think it's a mix between the gamer who was dominant, who encapsulated the city when he was good. But, I mean, he came up short a lot of times in the playoffs. Not all of them were his fault. But as the star of the team, you're going to take a lot of the blame for that. And there certainly were times where he did not show up when he could have, specifically that Boston series. But again, he was hurt. And is that his legacy, an injury-prone big man? And I really do feel bad for him because I do feel as though his effort is there. He just cannot stay healthy. But what are your thoughts on Joe's legacy? It'd be interesting to see where this goes. So call, text me, let me know what your thoughts are on Joe's legacy. And then be sure to check out my friends over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things going on with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com for more information. Check out On Pattison. Great Phillies coverage. I'm excited to see what their thoughts were on this weekend's games. They can get the newsletter delivered right to your inbox. We're featured in there a couple times a week. So go check out On Pattison. And just like I said, some of the top-notch Philly sports coverage in the city. And then, of course, Philly Goat. They got you covered. We're not really talking about it now, but you can still get your Super Bowl championship gear, whether it's a shirt, a hoodie, the slides. Cannot wait to get them to wear to the pool. And of course, Canvas Loafer season is coming. They have the fans, the Schmitties. I will also wear the Cape Mays. They're so comfortable. They're very, very comfortable. So go check out Philly Goat for the shoes. Is it the shoes? It's the shoes. Go to Philly Goat. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And please, Nike, don't fine me for stealing the "Is it the shoes" catchphrase there. All right. So on a Monday today, we're going to have a little bit of a double header. And I had the normal this day, and then I saw something that I felt was worth noting. So first, we're going to go back to 1947. And on this day in 1947, the Phillies opened up spring training down in Clearwater, Florida for the first time ever, and they have been there ever since. It's the second longest affiliation between a team and a spring training home. The Tigers, who the Phillies played on Saturday, have the longest affiliation in Lakeland. They were mentioning that all throughout the broadcast as I was listening. Down in Clearwater, though, the Phillies play at Baycare Ballpark, which opened in 2004 and is the home of the Clearwater Threshers, their low-A minor league club. But on this day in 1947, Phillies opened up in Clearwater for the first time ever. And then 20 years later, in 1967, the Sixers beat the Baltimore Bullets 149-118. Wilt Chamberlain, as he did a lot back then, effed them around and got a triple-double. 42 points, 30 rebounds, 10 assists. But more importantly, he shot 18 for 18 from the field, which set an NBA record that still stands today for field goals without a miss in a game. We know that the Sixers went on to win the championship that year. But in reading the paper, and what I do is peek behind the curtain a little bit. I always look at the newspaper from the day and kind of see what they were saying. There wasn't any mention of the 18 for 18. Wilt was in the middle of a streak where he had gone like a game and a half without missing a shot. They were trying to get him the NBA record, put him back into the game in a blowout. The Bullets coach was not happy about it, told his guys to foul Wilt, not let him get the record. He was like, I'll be damned if they're going to get the record on my watch. Wilt, to his credit, didn't get the record in that game, but did go on to set an NBA record, which again still stands today, going 35 for 35 before finally a miss. So the record for most consecutive field goals without a miss is 35, set by Wilt Chamberlain. I guess he would have probably set it the next game, whether it was the 25th or the 26th. But on this day, he effed around, got a triple-double back in 1967, shot 18 for 18, set an NBA record, which still stands today. And then finally today, our Black History legacy makers with Philly ties, Claude Vilgrain. And he was an Haitian-born hockey player via Canada, played parts of 5 seasons in the NHL for the Canucks, Devils, and your Philadelphia Flyers. While with the Flyers, he only played in 2 games during the 1993-94 season, but he was the first black player to play for the Flyers. Would have loved to continue playing in Philadelphia, loved the city, loved the organization. However, that following year, the NHL had a lockout. He went over to play, I believe, in Switzerland and loved it over there and just never came back. So that was essentially the end of his NHL career. However, he did pave the way for guys like Donald Brashear, Wayne Simmons, Ray Emery here in Philadelphia. All 3 of them had success as Flyers players. But if it wasn't for Claude Vilgrain, the first black player to play for the Flyers, who knows what would have happened. But thank you, Claude, for paving the way for these guys to get in. And really, hockey of all the sports is really the one where there's lots of walls and ceilings to bust through. So Claude Vilgrain busted through and opened the door for many black players in the NHL, including playing for the Flyers for 2 games in the 93-94 season. Would have been here longer, but the lockout ended his NHL career as he went over to Switzerland and really just fell in love. I think it was Switzerland or Sweden. I'm not sure which one. I'll find out for sure and let you know tomorrow. But Claude Vilgrain is today's Black History legacy maker with Philly ties. On this day in 1967, Wilt Chamberlain went 18 for 18 from the field, setting an NBA record for most field goals made without a miss in an NBA game. And then 20 years prior, the Phillies opened up spring training down in Clearwater, the second longest affiliation between a team and a spring training home in Major League Baseball. Can't wait to go down there and see the whole setup they have. Very excited. Everybody that's gone down has always told me it's fun, so really looking forward to that. We'll have more on the Joe knee situation. Let me know, though, your thoughts on his legacy. What is it? I know it's complicated, but what is his legacy? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 24th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.